Good morning, Hockey Nation fans and Detroit Red Wings fans. It is December 21st, 4 days until Christmas, 5 days until the World Junior Championship. And this is your review of the Detroit Red Wings and preview of our upcoming game. Illumi! That old OT goal was upsetting. Like Larkin said, though, the game was an improvement. It was an improvement. However, the outcome was relatively the same. Well, at least they got a point in this one. So welcome to Hockey Nation in the morning. Detroit Red Wings review and preview. And we're getting close to the World Junior Championship, so that's pretty exciting. However, in the meantime, we had not so exciting outcome. On Monday night, it was a big game against the Washington Capitals as Alexandre Ovechkin continued his pursuit of Gordie Howe's 801 NHL goals. So Mark Howe was in the building, the son of Gordie Howe and the Hall of Famer, I believe himself. I think he's also in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And Detroit Red Wing, one-time Detroit Red Wing. Luckily, Alexandre Ovechkin did not score that night. Again, and Ovi looked quite frustrated. I think he just expects to get goals. He had some glorious chances, but credit to Ville Husso. Ville Husso turned him aside and at least kept him off the board. And this was a good game, like overall. I thought the Red Wings played quite well. Dylan Larkin continues to play on the wing. So obviously the upper body injury that he went to a specialist for is not 100%. He's obviously playing hurt, not able to play center. That definitely is hurting the team a little bit. Although Michael Rasmussen was much better in the faceoff circle that night, but you continue to struggle with Andrew Kopp, P.S. Suter. Joe Veleno looks good. I think I would give him more ice time. So in the end here, we had a pretty close game. It was 2-0 for the Red Wings early on, and Capitals came back in the second and tied it up. And then it was 3-3 after third, which means you go into overtime. Ville Husso was the story here, though. 42 shots for the Capitals, and Alexandre Ovechkin, I think, had 8. Did he have 6 or 8 shots? I have to go back and look. We'll take a look at that, actually. I should have pulled that up. I'm just going to pull that up on the side to take a look, because it wasn't like Ovechkin did not have opportunity. He definitely created opportunity, definitely got shots on net. So the Red Wings, despite that, managed to get a power play goal. Wow, what? That's pretty good. So they managed to score on the power play, 1 for 3 on the power play. We know that power play has been struggling mightily. Took them 7 chances last game to get a goal, I think. Maybe it was the game before. 24 hits for the Red Wings. They were physical and 14 block shots, although the Caps had 17 block shots. So that's interesting. 36 attempts by the Red Wings, but 56 attempts by Washington. Oh, did he have 6 shots? Yeah, I think he had 6 shots. And I'm telling you, I think Veleno should move up in the lineup. He's better than P.S. Suter. He's better in the face-off circle than Andrew Kopp. Although Andrew Kopp's looked pretty good, but you can stick Andrew Kopp on the wing, and I think that's probably what increasingly is going to happen, because there's no way that paying attention to the details, this coach is going to want to continue to lose face-offs by this rate. 45-55, that is painful. But it was a pretty physical game. It was pretty quick, too. I thought Red Wings played real well, and you actually had hope that, hey, maybe they'll win, especially since they were up early. But it goes into overtime, and Orlov on a transition goal scores. He kind of left Husso out to lunch. But, David Perron gets his 10th of the year from Rasmussen and Larkins. As I mentioned, Larkins playing on the wing, Rasmussen playing center with Perron and Larkin makes sense to me. Rasmussen looked pretty good in this game. And then Oscar Sundqvist from Jonathan Berggren and Joe Veleno made it 2-0. So I think that was an interesting line, too, with, Berggren and Oscar Sundqvist on the wing with Veleno. I like that line. Keep it going. I have to admit, we'll take a look at this. Did you hear that Paul missed the net, beast the net, said Husso needing to play 65 games? Well, for sure. And I think we said this at the beginning. But there's what? Oh, my God. Yeah, this is good. This is tough guy math. Which is, don't worry, he will reach 65 games. He's already played 20. So what am I missing? I don't know. Let's see. How many has he played? He's played at least 20, right? When we take a look at it, we'll see that. Lucas Raymond. So before we skip ahead, Nick Dowd popped a pair, that's an unlikely story. So Ovechkin getting an assist on one of them in the second. So he managed to tie it up all by himself. I thought Nick Jensen for the former Detroit Red Wing, he logs a fair amount of ice time for Washington. I thought he looked pretty decent. So that's interesting. Don't look now, but Eric Gustin got his 11th assist on the year, and we know that he had a hat trick the previous game for Washington. What? Well, Lucas Raymond getting his 8th of the year is good news from Kopp and Mata. But then Eric Gustin scores again. So he's had 4 goals in his last 2 games for the Washington Capitals. What the heck? We know he's not a great defensive defenseman. Good morning, internet user. I don't know which internet user you are, but we appreciate you being an internet user on this broadcast. Orlov, 8th seed Kings. I don't think this is the guy you think this is. Because Dmitry Orlov has always played for the Red Wings. I think you're thinking of the guy that went back to Russia on his domestic abuse issue. Orlov is drafted by... no, that's a different defenseman. That is... what's his name? It's really bad. I can't remember his name. But Orlov was drafted by the Washington Capitals. Let's just take a look back in history. What was the guy's name? That they got sent home because he had a domestic abuse charge against him. So he had to go back to Russia and never has returned. He'll never be allowed back in the NHL. What is that guy's name? That's pretty bad. I can't remember now. Voinov. You're thinking of Vyacheslav Voinov. That's who you're thinking of, not Orlov. Close enough, right? Geez, what's another Russian name? Russian, very good defenseman, both of them. I think this Orlov's a little younger than Voinov too. Voinov's probably like 35 now. Yeah. So, but you saw Orlov's got some skills, and he played pretty well all night. Like, he's a really good skating defenseman. He handles it really well. I don't know the Red Wings often. How are they doing this year? They were doing great, and they have now, as we see, they keep losing. I think they've lost. They got a point last game, but I think they're winless in their last 5. Does that sound right? Yeah, that's all right. I was like, I don't think so. All right, so this is how it shakes out on the Red Wings side. Goals for Perron, Sundqvist, Lucas Raymond, those are all good news stories. Joe Veleno was a -1, but he's only getting 13 minutes of ice time. I think I'd be playing him more at this point. Kubalik only 13 minutes. This was the early on hero for the Red Wings, and I think I don't know, he played physical last night. I thought he played okay, but he's not getting big minutes. Dylan Larkin not able to play center, clearly because of this upper body injury. Still logging 20 minutes. Adam Ernie laid on some heavy hits that night, by the way. He laid out a couple guys pretty good. He threw at least one really, really good body check. The faceoff circle is interesting because Andrew Kopp actually hit 50%, and Pius Suter 50%, and Rasmussen 53%, and Veleno 50%. But how does that add up to 45-55? What am I missing? If you look at the game stats here, I'm confused. Because did I read this wrong? Oh, I did read it right. It says that they only won 45% of faceoffs, yet all the centermen are 50% or greater. What am I missing? Am I confused? I'm confused. I will be honest. Good morning, EarTap. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. We were just recapping the Detroit Red Wings 4-3 overtime loss to the Washington Capitals. The good news being that Alexander Ovechkin did not pass Gordie Howe in the game against the Red Wings, and I thought for sure that was going to happen, but he was slapping his stick this night. Red Wings actually, Ville Husso is the story here because he was definitely outshot. He played really well, and he particularly stoned Ovechkin on a couple of gimmies, I thought. Normally those would be gimmies for Ovi. Voinov, yeah. It was like a domestic abuse charge, I think, in Redondo Beach here in California. I don't know all the specific details, but he went back to Russia and never came back. They tried to bring him back, and the NHL was like, "Yet." Larkin should be resting until he's 100%. He's playing pretty well, but yeah, I think it's kind of weird. They definitely need him in the lineup. They play a lot better, even though he's not at center. What's up with the puck hand injuries? Lots of block shots. Like, everyone's trying to block shots this year. You have 3 players at 0%. Oh, so maybe that's what it is. When there's a 0, when Yeah, so it looks like Larkin tried to take a face-off. I wonder how many he took. I don't think it shows me how many. That's what it is. Okay, I'm less confused now. So Perron, Sundqvist, and Larkin, when they show 0 and not yet, not nil, then they lost all their face-offs. Got it. That brings the average down. So they need some centermen on the wings. They have a hard enough time filling center, but good job by the centerman. That's good. What was I going to say? There was something interesting. So Rasmussen gets 19 minutes of ice time. Berggren drops down to 12. Kubalik 13. You know, like he's been the big hero early on, so I think you'd want to ride him a little more. But I guess we'll see what happens. The lack of shots on OT for the Wings. Well, there was a bad transition there, so that was bad. I mean, that was just it was a kind of a breakdown. They left Husso out. There's not much you're going to do on that after that. They're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, so to speak. What I wanted to look at was just to double check before we look at the upcoming game, which is, again, this is going to be a tough game. We knew this stretch was going to be really tough. So if I look at team stats and I go down, so Charlie Lindgren, you know, not facing many shots, 19 shots on the night, lets in 3 goals, 842. He's been the hero lately for Washington, but they win in spite of this. And the guy I didn't see, and I was not, yeah, I was correct. There was no Elmer Soderblom. So I don't know if I have to check on what's going on. Yeah, like this is the guy that was playing, that was leading the team. So they were only winning when he was playing really well and getting lots of ice time. And I didn't think he looked bad last night. So I don't know. It's not my choice, obviously. But, you know, it seemed crazy. Like he was a big part of the success. He was playing a game, and now he's kind of on a cold streak. But he wasn't the only guy in a cold streak. So maybe the coach is assessing that he needs to drop down into a lesser role and then maybe bring him up, or maybe there's something off in his play. The guy that's been playing really well is Wallman. And Wallman's been very solid on defense. He's good defensively, and he's not bad offensively. So I thought Jesse Wallman's been playing really well for them. Moritz Seider looked pretty good. I was watching him real closely to see, like, is Moritz Seider different from last year? We know his point total is way down. Good morning, Melissa. Thank you for joining. What do you think of the top brass of Tanguay's contribution? The power play has been terrible. But it's part personnel. And I thought maybe Verano would draw back into the lineup. We know he's practicing with the team again. He's been released from the NHL player assistance. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes in. Will they wait until the new year? And we should be seeing pretty soon a Robbie Fabry come back. We should be seeing pretty soon. Let's go Red Wings, Melissa, the octopus. We should be seeing Tyler Bertuzzi pretty soon. You might see Zadina. Will Zadina ever play again? I think he'll be a depth player. I think they'd like to see him get a little success, and if not, they'll move him to the AHL. Because I don't know. Will Jonathan Berggren stay up? I think so. I mean, he continues to rack up some points. There you go. Hello, RJ. Thank you for joining. Kubalik has not scored in the last 9 games. For sure, it's part of it. Absolutely. But they got to get him back scoring. I mean, there's been no centerman ENORTAP. Like, in the end, like, he was playing on the top line and guys were getting the puck. He can't score on his own. He's not necessarily that type of player, but he can really shoot, as we know, and he's a big body. So the question is, like, okay, who are you going to play him with? You're going to play him with P.S. Suter because he's not going to get many points there, and you're only going to play him 13 minutes a game. At least 2 more weeks for Bert. That's right. So in a couple weeks, like today's the 21st, on the new year, we should see Fabry. We should see Bert. We should see probably Zadina, but that's less exciting. And then there's a couple of defensemen, too, that might get into the action because I think Mark Pysyk has not played all year. So I don't know if he's coming back or if he's gone for the year. That will be interesting to see, but more bodies does not hurt this Detroit Red Wings team. Hit the likes and subscribe. I appreciate that. RJ ENORTAP here, yes. He has been cool, but he's not the only one. Like, if we look at this team, let's take a look ahead. First of all, they're now in 6th in the Atlantic. As predicted, Buffalo on a 4-game winning streak. Buffalo's crushing it. Top goal-scoring team in the NHL, although Boston is only 4 goals behind them and has a game in hand. That is telling you how good Boston's been, because only 69 goals against. Boston, 4 losses on the year. Yeah, no kidding. I wonder why. Well, Boston and Detroit have flipped spots around Florida, who continues to be up and down like a yo-yo, and I think will continue to be up and down like a yo-yo. Good morning, William McCleary. 1 goal in the last 13 games for Kubalik. Centerman has missed 4. Yeah, he missed. He needs a centerman. I'm still surprised they have not tried Jonathan Berggren at center. However, last game was a lot better in the faceoff circle for the key centerman, so that's positive. But even when they drew in, they didn't draw in a Berggren. Kind of weird, isn't it? Like, I think he can win some faceoffs. Perron on the left, Kubi on the right, and Raymond down low on the left on the power play. I mean, Lucas Raymond has actually been playing pretty decent, so I don't think there's any problem with him. I think at some point he becomes like maybe their best player. He showed last year at times he has that capability of doing that. Where do you see the Red Wings of the upcoming draft? Oof. I mean, I'm trying to debate if this draft is deep. I think the top 5 picks are real good, and I have to really assess. There's some guys that have jumped up in a lot of guys' rankings, so we can take a look at that. But I mean, you're hoping that they were middle of the pack. They were doing so well at the beginning of the year. Can they turn this around? Good morning, William McCleary. Appreciate you joining. Please hit the likes and subscribes if you have not already. Like this video and share it with your mom, your dad, your brother. Toronto is close. Really? Wait, what do you mean Toronto is close? To Boston, yeah. But I watched Toronto the other night. I do not believe in this team. I'm sorry. I know they won. What is it about this team that I think you're going to get into tough hockey and it ain't going to happen? Maybe, is it just history? I mean, they beat Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay was the team that managed to knock them out. Oh, look, find your love in your city. Yeah, okay, 69 for life. We got to ban you, Block. What are you talking about? Okay, Toronto. Are you ready for Christmas, Melissa? I think the Red Wings could use a bit of a Christmas break. We could all use some World Junior Championship hockey. Well, I think they only have 1 goalie. That's for sure for Detroit. And even when he's in, they're just not strong enough yet. So, I mean, 4-5 or 2-5-3 in their last 10 is not great. So we know the pain. Yeah, eternal block on that one. The pain of being a Red Wings fan the last month, it has been rough. Buffalo playing really good hockey. They're exciting to watch. Lots of fun to watch. Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner playing well, Dylan Cousins playing well. Rasmus Dahlin, I will say it again. Is there a better defenseman in the NHL than Rasmus Dahlin? No. This guy should win. He should win the Norris Trophy, don't you think? I think he's the top guy. Who's better than him? Well, this is the way it shakes out, people. Detroit's no longer in the race for the wild card. I think this is over. New York Rangers they were 7-2-1. They finally lost a game against Pittsburgh 3-2 last night. Islanders hanging in there. Washington jumps up. Buffalo, though, don't count out Buffalo. Thanks, ENORTAP. Me too. Michael, I've been Curls aiming with Toronto, but they look different this year. They do not look any different. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it, man. I'm a defensive. I don't. This is like saying a ghost plays defense. Sophomore jinx for sure. You can see Seider and Raymond are a little bit off, but they're still very good. So if you talk about like their sophomore season's a bit of a shock, but they're working. They're playing well. I think Raymond had a really tough start. He's gone up and down a little bit. Definitely helps if you have a consistent centerman like Larkin. We know he's been hurt. And you're right, a couple more losses. The Red Wings are a 500 team. Will there be another loss? Well, we have a really tough matchup as we predicted. The Tampa Bay Lightning crushing it. Like, let's go back and look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. 20-10-1 all of a sudden. If you recall, about a month ago, they were down here and they were in 6-7. So they've completely jumped up here where the Red Wings used to be. And the wheat is separating from the chaff, as they say. Is that what they say? And even though they lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Run with Kings. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Was there a Kings win last night? I think there was. We should take a look at that. But wrapping up here, Tampa Bay crushing it. They did lose the game to Toronto, and I thought Toronto definitely looked quicker. But man, I don't know. Like Toronto they get by. They had a really good power play. Nice goal by Austin Matthews on that. But I think in playoff hockey, if you still watch where they're scoring from, it's perimeter. And I just think that an experienced, savvy team like Boston or Tampa is going to exploit that. Like, it's not like they're paying the price in front of the net to score. Well, they have Tavares and Marner in front of the net on the power play. And Matthews steps in and shoots the puck great. But I just don't see that working. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the year, but until they prove it, they are not a good playoff team. And I still watch them and I think, ooh, I could shut this down or that down, that down. You know, the other coach is thinking the same thing. Am I scouting the World Juniors? I'm not scouting the World Juniors. I tend to scout 14-year-olds. But our coach, Dennis Williams, is there. Our GM and coach, Dennis Williams from the Everett Silvertips, is the coach of Team Canada. And Owen Zellweger, he is also the World Juniors. I don't know if we have anybody else this year. I don't think we do. Pretty sure we don't. Kings won multiple games in a row. Did they beat Anaheim last night or was it Ottawa? I can't remember. Renault, we got everybody in the house today. Please hit like and subscribe if you have not done so. I'm happy to have Run with Kings. I'm happy to have Renault, our good friend, and ENORTAP, the Pied Piper. I'm excited to have all of you here as we're getting close to Christmas. We are getting closer to Boxing Day. We are getting close to the World Junior Championship. So tonight, busy schedule. Wait. Is this right? I thought tonight is Wednesday. I don't know if this is correct because the Red Wings play tonight, don't they? Am I missing something? Or are you showing last night's games? Because tonight, 7 o'clock is Tampa versus Detroit Red Wings, RJ. So I'm not sure. No, I'm only West Coast, so I'm basically Minnesota across to California in the U.S. So I'm U.S. Anaheim last night. Was Anaheim not up for a little bit on that game? There you go. Boxing Day. Well, you know, Canada's changed a lot. I have some news for you. If you go to Canada, it's not what it was 10 years ago. Like, just the makeup of Canada is very different. So I'm not sure people in Canada would know the reference necessarily. Maybe some older Canadians would know the reference of hosers. There's a whole new generation of Canadians, you know, a lot of first-generation Canadians. So, all right, let's take a peek at this Tampa game. It is tonight. What? David Perron, the leading scorer, last 5 games with 3 points. He's had 2 goals in 5 games, which is pretty good for David Perron, not so good for the Red Wings. They need a Kubalik. They need Larkin. They need Bergeron. They need Raymond. These guys popping in points. But look at what I was saying about Jesse Wallman. Is it Jake or Jesse? I think it was Jesse. I always forget that. +4. People say the Tampa Bay Lightning are not as deep as they used to be. Nonsense. Brandon Hagel, who came over in the trade last year at the end of the year, having a very good year, 4 goals in his last 5 games. You remember that name? If you look, I think, in the middle of this Tampa team, the top doesn't change, but the middle, I think, is younger and better. Fight me on that. I believe it's true. And Vasilevsky had a pretty, you know, he's had a kind of not a Vasilevsky type of season, but Brian Elliott, who's been a number 1 in the NHL, older guy, playing pretty darn good. I know. We need, like, what, Redux for the next generation? Precisely, Illumini. Mackenzie brother. Bob and Doug McKenzie reloaded. It's going to be terrible. They're going to make them girls. There's going to be some weird twist that you don't like, you know? maybe, I don't know. I have theories on this. Tampa, as good as their Wings were in 96. Yeah, this is a great team we are witnessing, and they don't give them credit. Kucherov, 9 points his last 5 games versus 3 points for Perron. That tells you a lot. And Brandon Hagel, 4 goals. Do not believe that Tampa is done here, folks. They've been to the Stanley Cup final, 3 years in a row? They lost to a very good Colorado team. Do you think Colorado's going to make it to the final this year? If you're a betting man, I say no. Yeah, they did not play great. Anaheim, a great first period, but LA took over. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought that LA won this game, but they were down early. So if we just take a look at the schedule, we're nearing the end of December. Thank goodness. It's been a rough month if you're a Detroit Red Wings fan. Lots of injuries, lots of L's. L's, L's, L's. But their last big win, and this has kind of started their bad streak, they won 4-2 versus Tampa, and then they got smoked by Florida on the 8th. And the Panthers have been terrible, and they will continue to be terrible. I have bad news for you. This is a Paul Maurice yo-yo team, and they've had a lot of injuries too. I think Barkov is out again. They lost a close one to Dallas. They lost a close one to Carolina. They got smoked by Minnesota in back-to-back. So back-to-backs are tough for the Red Wings, usually because they're splitting the goalie duties. They got smoked by Ottawa. And then the close one with Washington. What is going to happen tonight? They have a very tough game against Tampa. Ottawa, we know, has been playing very well. Pittsburgh beat the streaking Rangers, ended their 5-game winning streak. And Buffalo, we know, is suddenly in contention. Okay, this is more like it. Tampa versus Detroit tonight. That's the game we're going to be watching for. New Jersey and Florida. Don't look now, but New Jersey is in free fall. As much as they were on a rocket ship before, they are now in free fall. They lost to Florida, I think, like 5-1. Look at the scores. But Montreal, Colorado. We know Colorado still got a lot of bodies out. Nashville and Chicago. This is a bottom feeder game. Edmonton and Dallas. Edmonton, you're still looking for them to really get great goaltending or above average goaltending would really help. They don't have great defensive play all the time, so it's kind of tough. There's transition opportunities against, but they got great offense, and McDavid's on a tear. So you got to watch that game. And Dallas has been a little off, but still playing pretty well. Listen, Colorado's in the playoffs, but is Colorado making it to the final? Tampa, you could say, until they don't, could make it to the final. At the very least, you could say, hey, they could go past the first round. So Toronto faces Tampa in the first round. I do not think you're going to see the same result that you saw the other night. Maybe in a couple early games. But you can see Toronto plays perimeter still. And if your guys in front of the net are Tavares and Marner on the power play or anytime, ever, they're going to get destroyed. Hedman's going to run somebody over. Cernik's going to run somebody over. That ain't going to work. That is not going to work. Well, we have a big game, Tampa Bay Lightning, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and then Ottawa again. It is not going to be pretty. This could see the Red Wings fall to and below 500. That is just the reality of it right now. So if we take a look, let's take a look at some of the other games that were on tap. No pun intended, ENORTAP. Last night, we know the big game win by Toronto. Carolina, that's who thumped New Jersey. I mean, this New Jersey team was on such a tear. Like unheard of, right? Flyers, Blue Jackets, battle of the basement. Lots of good young players in this game, though. Carter Hart getting the win over the young Daniel Tarasov. Tarasov, I like. I think he's better than the other two goalies, but Columbus got a lot of holes. They're 10, 20, and 2 for a reason. They will have a legitimate shot at Connor Bedard, at Adam Fantilli, at Michkov if they want to take that risk. And there's some other good players there. Penguins dethroning the Rangers, who were on a 5-game winning streak. Yet, no. Sorry, Shesterkin. Tristan Jarry wins the battle of this goaltender duel 3-2. Big goals from Malkin and Crosby in this game. The game winner from Crosby. And Brian Rust playing really well. Kreider getting both goals for the Rangers. Carolina, Vanacek suddenly is back to the old Vanacek. What's going on? And this young Kochkov, I think that's how you say his name. Man, I think you're probably right. I don't know why they would be in a hurry to move an Anderson or a Ranta. They'll keep probably Ranta. Anderson's kind of a mess, as you kind of would have guessed. It's still better than having Nedeljkovic. Look at how bad Nedeljkovic is for Detroit. It's still better than having Peter Mrazek. Look how bad Peter Mrazek is in Chicago. So this was the big game you guys watched last night. Nemenstikov getting only a second of the year. Tampa mailed this one, and it was a weird one. And there might be some psychology playing there. Matt Murray getting the win. Michael Bunting continues to produce. Austin Matthews getting his 17th. So is he now on pace for 45 goals? Probably. Let's take a quick look at that. He has 17 goals in 33 games, so he's kind of edging back up towards the 50-goal range. Let's see how that plays out. Pierre Engvall and William Nylander getting his 19th of the year. The Jets thumping the Senators 5-1. What? Man, Jets, Kyle Connor is so good, guys. And David Riddick getting the win against Cam Talbot. David Riddick is, I'm always shocked this guy's still in the NHL. That's a backup if there ever is a backup. The Kraken back in the W column with a big 5-2 win over the Blues, who just cannot get it together and get anything consistent. The one guy is consistent is Buchnevich. Greiss is consistently bad, but Buchnevich was injured early on. Don't look now, 24 points, 24 games. He is maybe the MVP again in St. Louis. I thought he was their MVP last year. This is the game we were talking about. Vetrano got them up 1-0, and then it was all Kings. Alex Iafallo, don't look now either. He's back in the lineup, 8 points in 12 games. So that could be really good news for the Kings, who could use that speed and depth on the wing. Phoenix Copley, is this his 4th or 5th game in a row? Getting the W. Phoenix Copley, they've won back-to-back with Phoenix Copley, their 3rd-string goalie. No longer. The Flames get another W here, 7-3, taking advantage of the lowly Sharks. I still don't believe this is over. I think this is still kind of a mess. Just not going to happen. All right, so games tonight, Panthers and Devils. That's what I was looking ahead to. Lightning and Red Wings. Well, the Devils end their little streak of 3 losses in a row, I think it is. The Lightning, we know, are crushing it. The Red Wings are getting crushed. So I would say the odds are against the Red Wings tonight. Let's see, but because their last big game was against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Canadians and Avalanche, this will be on Hockey Nation Live tonight with Coach Frenchie. And I don't know if ENORTAP is joining. Nashville Predators having a rough year. Definitely knew they were going to fall back to earth after absolute career season last year from Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg. Great years. This is the game I'm curious about and I want to watch. Oilers versus the Stars. Love watching the Stars. Keep hoping the Oilers get some escape velocity. They're kind of up and down, also like a yo-yo, mainly because of defensive play, but you cannot question the play of Connor McDavid. 10 points, 5 games. This is the pattern all year. He never stops. Can't stop, won't stop. Tyson Barrie, 8 assists. He's been doing really well. Jesse Puljujärvi is leading your plus-minus with a +1. Think about that. Connor McDavid with 10 points in 5 games is not a +1. Stuart Skinner, the better of the 2 goalies right now, .915 save percentage, and the big payday cashing in Jack Campbell, who I always said, is this guy really a number 1 in the NHL? Does not look like it. The kiss of death is getting a big contract maybe from Ken Holland. Jeez. They need to get another defenseman at least. I agree. I like Broberg. Evan Bouchard is really struggling. This is not good. The Red Wings strengths right now and down the road, I am unclear. They are a mess a little bit. They need to get a Tyler Bertuzzi back or a Robbie Fabry. They need to get Kubalik back in the scoring. And I think they need to figure out who's playing center. And that's what it's got to come down to because Larkin's hurt. They did better last night in the faceoff circle. I think Rasmussen and Veleno are going to bump up. Andrew Kopp actually hit 50% in the faceoff circle. So if you want to bet, if you go and look, they probably practiced faceoffs. Yeah, Jack Hughes got on the the scoreboard, but man, there definitely some power outage there in New Jersey. Oh boy. Habs should trade Edmondson to Edmonton. Well, I mean, this would be good for Edmonton probably. That would not hurt them. Kyle Connor and DeBrincat. Oh my goodness, like Kyle Connor is a machine. I was speculating that everybody wanted out of Winnipeg. They removed Blake Wheeler as captain. They bring in Rick Bowness, which I was like, really? Ricky Bowness getting it done. This team was struggling under Dave Lowry, struggling under Paul Maurice. Things have improved. They don't look so bad. Suddenly you look at their defense, you go, oh, they're not horrible. Why they're not running around? You know whose defense looks horrible? Florida Panthers. Wonder why. Artem Zub signed Zub to a 4-year contract for 18.4. Now, we were just saying this. They really like Artem Zub. I like Artem Zub. So this is 4.4 per year. Is that right? So it's 9.7, 4.3 a year. No, that's wrong. 4.35. Maybe that's what it is. I can't remember. 4.7 a year probably. This one I was disappointed because they get nothing. Get Dan O'Regan for Giovanni Smith. What? Is he going to get a chance in Anaheim? I sure hope so. They could use them. I think the Red Wings could use them. 4 in a row. Copley most likely start 5 in a row because no Jonathan Quick. He ain't playing great. And the other goalie, Cal Peterson, can't figure out himself in the AHL. Connor McDavid is on 52% of the scoring. Absolutely. He's on the 52% of the NHL scoring. The guy is on pace for 160 points. And you can bet he's thinking in his head he can get 200. I've said this since the beginning of the year. ENORTAP knows I keep harping on it. I like the Zub contract. I think Zub is an excellent top 4 defenseman for them. And I think the reality is that, between him, Sanderson, Bernard Docker, Shabbat, that's a pretty good top 4. And then, if Bratstrom ever gets back in, they could that defense could round out. They might need one more D-man, but they don't need much. They just need to figure things out. And we'll see how good Thomas Shabbat really is. Will Evan Bouchard's next contract be higher than Nurse's? No. Never. If you watch Evan Bouchard, he is really struggling. Listen, Florida's struggling under Paul Maurice. Are you surprised that Campbell's lost the starting job? Absolutely not. This guy was a sub 900 in the playoffs last year. He didn't get in that many games. He has injury problems. He's never been a number 1 anywhere else but Toronto. We are all hyping up Skinner last year. I don't. So Stuart Skinner, I like, and I'm happy with this story. He outplayed Everett a long, long time ago and took that team with Matthew Barzal to the WHL championship. And we had a guy named Carter Hart. And he honestly outplayed Carter, I thought, in the last games, although we probably relied a lot on Carter. Carter was probably a big part of our success. We did not have Matthew Barzal. And I thought Stewart, that was a goalie duel, if you go back and look historically. So then him starting in the ECHL, I always thought at some point he's going to be in the NHL. Is Stuart Skinner a number 1 goalie? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think Shabbat is a mistake machine. This guy is a bit of a mistake machine in your tab, and I think Zub covers them up, but there's only so much covering up. You got to cover up your own mistakes and not make them. That would be really helpful. He's getting the big bucks. Shabbat is high risk. Yeah, 4.6. Thanks. I was doing the math in my head. I thought it was 4.7, 4.3, 4.7. That makes sense. 4.6. I think this is a good signing. This is a cheap signing. He's a top 4 defenseman. A lot of teams would love to have this guy as their top 3 or 4, and especially at that price. So this is a good news story. I don't know if he's been a massive letdown. He is playing in the wrong chair, as coach would say. Ben Sherratt would be better in a different chair. That's the reality. I just think Ben Sherratt would be better as a number 4. He's not a number 2. And you're trying to play him with a sophomore who does, I don't know. I don't think Moritz Seider's high risk, but I almost think he's hurt Seider more than he's helped him. Don't look now on the goaltending side. So Samsonov, we know, had a bit of an off game against the Washington Capitals. His old team, a little bit of voodoo going on there. Connor Hellebuyck, 233. This is, we all know Connor Hellebuyck's a great goalie. Look at that great beard / I guess that's a beard. Jeez, Connor Hellebuyck, that's a beard. Didn't even know what this guy looked like before. Now I'm scared. But Linus Ullmark still playing great. This is the Carolina goalie, Peter Kochkov. I got to figure out how to pronounce his name. Is this another Russian goalie? What? Don't say. From Russia with love, yet another great Russian goalie. What is going on in Russia, people? Tage Thompson, don't look now, 50 points, catching up to Leon Draisaitl. Kucherov's not too far behind. Robertson's doing okay. Kaprizov's right in the mix. You look at his names, and then they right got Tage Thompson. You expect all these other names. Did you expect Tage Thompson? I didn't. Erik Karlsson, 42 points, but we know that comes with a lot of risk there. And San Jose has settled back down to what you thought they would be. This, to me, is my choice. But don't look now. Who is Josh Morrissey, who we've always said this guy's not a number one, but he's got 38 points on the year under Rick Bowness. Unshackled from the Paul Maurice albatross. Is this guy better than we thought? They do not give him a decent contract. Maybe a 1 year, $1 million would be the reward for this. It just depends. Because right now they're giving big bucks to Mr. Cal Peterson to play in the AHL, right? Is he playing $4.5 million to play down there? Crazy. So Josh Morrissey is right in the mix, ahead of my darling Rasmus Dahlin, ahead of Cale Makar, ahead of Adam Fox by quite a bit. 10 more points than Cale Makar. And as good as we've said Mikhail Sergachev has been playing, and we know Tyson Barrie been racking up the points, and we know Miro Heiskanen's a great defenseman in Dallas, Josh Morrissey has 38 points, everybody. So if you look for the success in Winnipeg, I think it comes down to coaching. And I think it's Rick Bowness, who I will give all the credit in the world because I did not think he was a great coach in Dallas. Maybe I was underselling him because he's been a great fit in Winnipeg, and their defense looks so much better with him. I'm absolutely shocked. I thought he'd be more of the same. And we were all looking for Barry Trotz to get in there. Barry Trotz not going to get in there. I don't see why. I'm pretty excited with this. Look at the rookie scoring. Benners and Maselli in a horse race, but Maselli's heavy duty on the assists. Who is this guy? Well, I'll tell you who he is. He is second in rookie scoring. The Finn, Matthias Maselli, with an Italian last name. What? How is Matthias Maselli from Finland? This is an Italian last name. There's a story here we got to figure out. All right, folks, we are at the top of the hour. I do not scout the Ontario Hockey League or the Quebec League. In this case, probably Quebec. Russia has made goaltending a priority the last 15 years. Wake up, Canada. Agreed. Zero priority. Peterson is playing well in the minors. Good. Good. Good morning, Marco. I am actually just about to wrap it up, but maybe I'll stay on for a little bit here. I do have to kind of join a work call that I have no participation in. So maybe what I'll do is I will pop that up on my computer. Let's see if we can get into that on my other computer here. Probably should actually join the call. Carter Hart is the heir apparent to Carey Price, for sure. Carter Hart's idol was Carey Price. Isn't that weird? Because Maselli, I thought it was Canadian. We got to look this guy up. He deserves a look up, don't you think? He is the second leading scorer amongst rookies. I can't even type his name right. There it is. Matthias Maselli, born in Turku, Finland, played in Ilves-Tampere, Finland. This guy is Finnish, but he's got an Italian last name, Marco. What is going on with the world? Well, he's getting points. That's what's going on. 22 points in 28 games. Heavy duty on the assists. He played in the USHL, so that's interesting. That's where I know the name from. Because now I remember who this is. He played for Dubuque. Interesting. So that's the same kid. Played for Oliver. Oliver David. There you go. Good coach. That's very interesting. Went back to Finland. Probably during lockout. Not lockout, but the COVID lockout. Interesting. Pierre loves and respects Rick Bowness. Well, apparently Rick Bowness is a good coach. I don't know. He's got one of the worst records in the NHL. He coached a couple of expansion teams. He was terrible in his first trip around Winnipeg in the 80s. Ottawa Senators were a horrible expansion team, so that probably didn't help much. He's been around the block. He's very experienced. I thought Dallas kind of underachieved under him a little bit. I mean, that being said, he took them to the Stanley Cup final. Would you bring Peterson up? They're going to have to. Eventually, too early right now, let him build up confidence. Yeah, I don't know how many games he's played down there, but I don't know if he's on like a conditioning stint because he can't play that much. Otherwise, you have to clear waivers. Maybe nobody wants to pick him up. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria from Ghostbusters. My only concern is he will bring HL type going up with him. Well, he ain't been that great. I mean, the fact that Phoenix Copley's been winning with LA and been giving them better goaltending than Quick or Peterson tells you a lot. There you go. That's what I thought. I mean, that's an Italian last name, but he's Finnish. That's really crazy. World travelers. This is how the world works, I guess. I don't know. Good for him. We've been following this guy since he had 10 points. You're like, wow, this guy's second. He's still second in scoring amongst rookies. I still will contend that the goaltender, Logan Thompson, in Vegas will probably eventually be the guy. I can't see, like, unless, I mean, his numbers have been real good. They kind of dropped off a little bit, but he's still a 2.64. He's 14-8. So, yes, he's dropped off a little bit. 917 save percentage. Where does he end up at the end of the year? Does this guy end up with, like, 45, 50 games played? That might be the only thing, but he's played more hockey than anybody. You say, oh, he hasn't played 82 games. What? Vegas is first. Who thought this guy was that good? You know, they did the obligatory eat 20 NHL games, but his career numbers are pretty darn good. I think this is going to happen. Mother's American, father's Finnish. Thoughts on the linesman that roughed up Bunting? I didn't see this. I didn't see that. What happened there? Michael Bunting got roughed up by a linesman? Who's getting Tyler Myers? I don't know. He might be in some demand. I've noticed with Copley, each game he plays, he gives up less and less rebounds. Well, that is the key. That's a big key. That's really good. I don't know. There's guys in Vancouver that are having career years. But defensively, this team is a truck on fire. It is not pretty. Like, if you look at JT Miller, is JT Miller having a horrible year? No. 27 points in 31 games. This is pretty good. Peterson, 34 points in 29 games. Bo Horvat, 22 goals in 31 games. We looked at this before. Quinn Hughes, I thought this guy scored. I thought Quinn Hughes finally scored. Still 0-27. -2 is better than historically for him. -11 for JT Miller ain't pretty. And Kuzmenko has been excellent. What a wonderful pickup. What a wonderful pickup. Mikheyev, 10 goals in 28 games. He's been good. Okay, Brock Besser, not great. Some injuries, I think, there. Connor Garland, definitely not scoring at his normal clip. Ekman Larson continues to be as painful as everybody predicted. Niels Höglander, has he been sent down to the AHL? Podkolzin's also out of the line, but these guys been sent to World Juniors or down? Have to look into this. I haven't really followed them. Nothing from Tanner Pearson. Ethan Bear, not been a great pickup. Luke Schenn still playing in the league, and he's a plus. Woo, he's tough too. And you got a great goalie who's got horrible, horrible numbers. At some point, this has got to be a team number. So who do you fire sale? There's probably lots of pieces. Yeah, I think that's how that works with young goalies, right? You've got to eat like 20, 25 NHL games, and it's smart to do that over a period of time. There's something in the analytics that tell you to break in a goalie to the NHL. The first 20, 25 games are going to be a little rough, but then suddenly they can turn a corner. Check out on YouTube. I got to watch that. No, I am not too familiar with this gentleman. Both to the AHL. I don't know. Luke Schenn to the Leafs. Book it. You know what? You know who I like in Toronto? Connor Timmins. Connor Timmins is a very good news story in Toronto. Connor Timmins is, he struggled to get healthy, and he struggled to get in the Colorado lineup. And I think he was in Arizona for a little bit. This has been a very good defenseman. Do you like Connor Timmins? Because Connor Timmins is only 23 or 24. He's like 6'3". He can skate. He's not a big offensive defenseman, but he's not a poor offensive defenseman. And he's a pretty decent defenseman defensively, although he got destroyed by Ovechkin. Who doesn't get destroyed by Ovechkin? They need some mean D-men. I think Schenn could be, but the risk here is that they overplay him. And I think in the style that Toronto plays, it's going to be like Vancouver. He seems to be doing okay there, and there he's not going to be able to keep up. So that separates him from the play too much, is what I feel like a lot. And there's a lot of broken plays in Toronto that'll happen, and I think that'll hurt him. But maybe it's worth consideration. Definitely worth consideration. Would you rather have Luke Schenn than Tyler Myers? I think similar problems with these guys, except one guy's a monster giant person. What? You got to think at some point that they will sell off some of these pieces, but yeah, that's interesting. I have to watch that. Petrie outwearing his welcome in Pittsburgh. Why? Pittsburgh is crushing it. Is Jeff Petrie not playing a part of that? Pittsburgh's playing great, and I haven't really watched a lot of those games. For sure, but they also have no hard forwards. And I was saying, like, the other, if you watched last night in the power play, you got Mitch Marner and John Tavares in front of the net. You know what's not going to happen in the playoffs? That. Those guys are going to get absolutely rubbed out by big defensemen. Horvat is Savard. Back. A first, a third. Do it! Why would you not do this? Okay, the first would be a problem, though. That's the problem. You're not going to do this because the first-round pick. There's just no way you're going to give up a Michkov or a Bedard or someone like if they fall into that range. Horvat having a monster year, but he's not a young dude either. Boone Jenner to the Leafs. Boone Jenner is out for 4 weeks with a hand injury. Right? I think that just happened. Kirill, thank you for joining us. Beck is the key. I think the first-round pick is the key. You're not going to give up a first-round 2023 pick in that deal, are you? Oof. Kirill, thank you so much for joining. All right, guys, I want to wrap this up. It is 8 minutes after. I have pucks and dreams to follow as well. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. Tonight, there is the Montreal Canadiens game. Yeah, you're not going to give up that first-round pick. The Canadiens play who, RJ? Let's go back to RJ's comment. He always has all the games. Where's RJ? RJ posted up what the games were tonight. Is it Colorado? Oh, my goodness. Here we go. Tampa, Detroit tonight. That's the big game. Montreal versus Colorado. New Jersey, Florida. I'm looking also at the later game. The Edmonton versus Dallas game should be really good. A lot of other junk late West Coast games, but that one should be very, very good. So watch out for that. No. Really? I would. The guy's got 22 goals in 31 games. Bo Horvat's the captain of the team. Bo Horvat is a difference maker. Put him on a much better team. He's performing on a poor team. Bo Horvat's a very good second-line centerman. How many teams have a second-line centerman like Bo Horvat? You don't want him as your number one necessarily. Not that he would do poorly, but he's not a traditional guy, but he can really score. He's always been able to score. He's scoring at a ridiculous pace at the moment, but he's not worth the risk of a first-round pick in next year's draft. That is crazy talk. Unless you know that you're going to finish somewhere in this other half, not the bottom half, but the top half of the draft. That is crazy talk. All right, guys, I will be back on Friday morning. Please join Hockey Nation Live tonight for the Colorado-Montreal game. I assume is being broadcast by Coach Frenchie. Yeah, I don't see. That makes no sense. This guy was the first-round pick that was traded for Corey Schneider, right? Lou Lamoriello trades a first-round pick and gets Corey Schneider. Vancouver's up in arms. They keep Roberto Luongo. That's how long ago this was. It's been 10 years. Thank you, everybody who joined. Illumi, ENORTAP, Marco, Kirill, my friend. We appreciate you joining. There's so many. Melissa, I believe, was here before. Renault, thank you for your questions. Run with Kings. RJ, appreciate you joining. I'm probably missing someone. I know William McCleary was here. Everybody that joined, really, really appreciate it. Mr. Internet User, we have no idea who that is, but we like your username. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy hockey tonight, and we will see you on Friday morning.